Welcome to Snowdon Ultra 50 and 100 mile race brief. My name is Wayne Drinkwater and I am the race director at GB Ultras, and today we're going to cover some of the key points that you need to know for the race itself. So race HQ and race registration is at Betws-y-Coed Village Green at the heart of the village. Towards the back of the village green there's a large pay and display car park which is available for the long stay should you need to. Race registration is available from for bib number collection is available from Friday at 5:30 p.m. all the way up to 9 p.m. So that's one option. The other option is that you can collect your bib number and also your race tracker on the Saturday morning. So that's from 4:15 a.m. all the way up to 5:45 a.m. The events will have a mass start, but the 100 mile will start at 6 a.m. bang on. On the 50 mile you'll be starting at 6:15 a.m. What we really ideally like is that the 100 mile runners will be clapped off by the 50 mile racers. So even if you're starting 15 minutes later, please do come over to the start line to wish them well and give them a good send off. Your mandatory kit is the bare minimum kit that we need you to carry. That's the bare minimum kit. It may be that the weather conditions deteriorate during the race, and that's exactly why we're asking you to carry that kit. It may also be that severe weather warnings come in prior to the event and we'll be asking you to carry more kit. Choice of footwear: the race itself is a mountain and trail event. Obviously the conditions during the and in the lead up to the event will play a significant part, in terms of how much grip you got on underfoot. But we really would recommend a trail choice of shoe. So you'll be following the Snowdonia Slate Trail, which looks like this, for the lion's share of the lower level trails. So the Snowdonia Slate Trail is really well marked routes spanning all the way around Snowdonia. On the 50 and 100 we'll be using it to ensure that basically you keep on track, that you've got a point of reference should you need to. You know that you've got confidence that you're on track when you see the Snowdonia Slate Trail sign. So that's one of the reasons why we use it. It's also a really beautiful route. It ties in a lot of the history around Snowdonia, so the slate mining communities and the local towns and villages along the way. So the race itself takes in initially the Snowdonia Slate Trail, so it joins onto Snowdonia Slate Trail as soon as you leave the start line, Village Green. Just be aware when you're on the Slate Trail before you get to Betws-y-Coed, there is a footbridge that you go over, a wooden footbridge, really nice section of the Snowdonia Slate Trail. And as you go over the footbridge, there was a right turn that would take you to Craftnant, obviously on your way back along the Snowdonia Slate Trail. After passing by Betws-y-Coed, that footbridge is where you turn left to link Craftnant and to checkpoint 6. So it's really, when you're leaving, just keep an eye out for that, because that is the point where you'll be turning. That'll take you to checkpoint 1 and to the base of Trifan. So checkpoint 1 is at Gwerngoff ISAF, and that's a campsite. No support teams allowed on checkpoint 1, purely because it's a third-party campsite. It might be quite early and we don't want to disturb people that are actually camping there. So just bear that in mind. We'll be located at a car park towards the entrance of it, and again it's just for event team only. So that's at checkpoint 1, 8 miles in. The route will then follow the Heather Terrace. Heather Terrace will have our mountain response team 1, which will be spread between the low level, making sure that you go on to the correct line, and also on the Heather Terrace before it joins onto the miners track. Obviously this is a navigation event, so the onus is on you to be aware of the routes, to not just follow the GPX. It's just to guide the GPX, but basically in poor weather conditions we've got two options. Okay, if we deem necessary, myself and the other mountain teams deem necessary, what we will do is we will activate a low level route which will cut out some of the high ground if we deem it necessary. That really is something where we'd prefer to do that prior to you going up. So that's exactly what we would do if it was severe weather or there was severe weather warnings that we're going to hit. Okay, so just be aware of that. Obviously, we would like to keep the race intact. It's really, really stunning part of the world, and that'll take you to the miners track on the glidders. The glidders, then you'll be heading downwards. Be careful on your descent. It can be a bit slippy. It can be a bit marshy at times on that descent. Some of it's absolutely fine. Just be kind of careful on your footing there. That'll take you to checkpoint 2 at a railway base of Penny Pass. Okay. You'll then head up to Snowden. We'll have Mountain Team 2, which will be on there. If it is again severe weather, then our mountain team do reserve the right to make sure that you turn around at any point during that. After doing Snowden, you'll be heading back down to checkpoint 3, which was formerly checkpoint 2 at a railway base at Penny Pass. Okay, you'll then be heading straight back up to the glidders where you saw our mountain team. It will now be mountain team 3, and it'll be covering the gliddering. Okay, beautiful mountains, Gliderfach as well as Gliderfach, and you know, such a stunning area. But just really be aware of the line that you take. If you do have any supporters, just bear in mind that a lot of the car parks, certainly Penny Pass one, is you've got to book it online, which I think is a really great decision from Snowdonia National Park. So just book it online because it's only a small car park. So maybe have a look at that in advance. Outside of that, when you come back down to the checkpoints, please make sure again that you top up your water and then make a move. You'll be making a move up to the glidders again. So we'll all be wearing high-vis vests and we're there to support you, but please bear in mind this is a navigation event. The onus is on you. You're carrying your map, you've obviously got your GPX, but just the onus is on you. So just a few other things that we need to mention to you. Please close gates behind you, stick to the trail, don't climb any walls, rather that you retrace your footsteps. Other trail users, obviously Snowdon's quite a busy mountain, and well, there's pretty much no other mountain that's as busy in the British Isles. So just be really kind of aware that, you know, be kind to other people, respect that they've got as much right to be on the trail as you have, on the mountain as you have. Also, race number visibility, it's really important, just in case you've got something wrong with your race tracker, or maybe needs adjusting or anything like that. It's really important that we see your race number. It should be visible, it should be on your front of your person. So just be really aware of that. That's really helpful for our event team. Okay, so as you're reaching in and out of your pack to get out the next snack or your head torch or anything like that, just be really, really careful that you don't pull out any litter. So if you've been eating snacks along your journey, just be aware that, you know, that your litter needs to be nice and tight in your pack. When you come to a checkpoint, offload it. Okay, we often see sometimes at the back end of a race, we just see a lot of litter in the pockets, which is great that you've hang on to it, but if it reduces the likelihood that something's accidentally going to come out your pack, please make sure that you offload it at the checkpoint. It'll only take a moment, won't it? So just be aware of that. Okay, so Snowdonia, much like the Lake District and the Brecon Beacons, can be up and down in terms of signal. That's for your phone signal, but also for the tracking signal. The trackers work on phone signal, GPS signal. So just be aware of that more than anything else, that if your tracker loses signal, because it's in between, maybe it's Ogwen Cottage where there's no signal in that valley, or very, very limited signal, it may well be flashing a exclamation mark beside your name. As you come out of the valley or move to higher ground, it will then start updating again. It still records your positions throughout. It's just making you aware that if you've got family and friends who are following you during the challenge, then it's just making sure that they're not kind of going, right, okay, let's get in touch with the event team, and it's just limited signal. Up and down in the mountains, it's often the case. Our event team, I've got a number of 5 watts two-way radios robust radios, and also a number of sat phones, so our communication lines remain open. So if you do come across an incident or anything like that, or you are struggling, chances are if you're nearby to one of our marshals, even if you're not at a checkpoint, we'll be able to help. Okay, so checkpoint locations for the Snowdon 50 and the Snowdon 100. So checkpoint 1 is at 8 miles in, and that's at Gwerngoff ISAF, which is a campsite. Checkpoint 2 is at 13 miles into the race, and that is at the Ray bottom, the base of Penny Pass. Checkpoint 3 is at 22 miles at the same location. So once you've come up and down Snowdon, you'll then reach that checkpoint again. Just basically make sure before you leave checkpoint 2 that you fill up all your water. Make sure that you fill up all your water. Checkpoint 4 is at 28 miles, and that's at Ogwen Cottage, beautiful valley. And checkpoint 5 is at 31 miles at Gwerngoff ISAF, and it's only 3 miles between Ogwen Cottage and Gwerngoff ISAF. Checkpoint 6 is at 38 miles, and that's at Lincraft Nant. Checkpoint 7, it returns to the start location, which is at Betws-y-Coed, Village Green, and that's at 46 miles, and that is the finish line for the 50 mile. On the 100 mile, you'll have the option of a drop bag. So at the bottom of your bib number, you'll be able to tear off one of the strips, which will be a drop bag option for you. You'll also have a drop bag at checkpoint 10, which is 80 miles into the event. We have added an additional checkpoint on 100 miles. So we've now got Llanfestiniog Village Hall, which is at approximately 64 miles into the event. And we've also got Crusher Car Park, which was the same location as last year, approximately 70 miles in. Support teams are welcome throughout the 50 and 100 mile events, except at checkpoint 1. Checkpoint 1 is a third party campsite, so we'd prefer to keep everything kind of really low key there. So event team only at checkpoint 1. In terms of paces, you're more than welcome to have somebody running with you, but that is from the 50 mile onwards for the 100 mile event. So no paces permitted on the 50 mile event. Toilets are available at the events, at the start and finish location, also at every single village hall that we have booked for the event, also at checkpoint 1 and checkpoint 5, which are Gwerngoff ISAF, as well as at Penny Pass car park. There's a centre there where you're welcome to use the toilets there. Snowdonia National Park toilets. Ogwen Cottage also has toilets there available, so please do use them, and also Lincraft Nant has toilets available too. But on the 100 mile there's 2 village halls which also have facilities there for you to use should you need. This leads on to the emergency instructions for the Snowdon Ultra. If there is a minor injury, please let Race HQ, a checkpoint or a mountain marshal know. If there is an emergency where there is a risk to life or limb, please follow these instructions. Number 1, if you can, please get into your thermal survival bag or bivvy bag and use any spare clothing that you've got in order to keep warm. Number 2, on the front of the tracker there is an SOS button. Hold it down for approximately 3 seconds and that will alert Race HQ providing there is signal. That is no substitute for speaking to Race HQ on the phone. Number 3, please ring 999 and ask for an ambulance. Number 4, when possible, alert Race HQ. We may have mountain marshals nearby, we may have first responders nearby and paramedics. Number 5, attract the attention of fellow runners by using your whistle or shouting. This now completes the Snowdon Ultra Race Brief. Thanks so much for watching and for taking on the challenge. If you have any questions in the meantime, please don't hesitate to send us an email at info@gbultras.com. Please note that if it's quite close to race day, 1 or 2 days before, we can't guarantee a reply prior to the event. Thanks so much for taking on the challenge once again, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the start line.